Good evening, this is N7GES, and this is the NCARC TechNet. We gather here on Monday evenings to try to answer questions and give information, teach people more about amateur radio, and offer assistance when needed. We're available, of course, on this frequency. You're liable to be hearing us on 447.275 or 447.750. Our program is streamed to YouTube on our YouTube channel and also Echolink at W0UPS-R. Tonight we have an open forum for any questions, so I hope that you came with questions that we can try to answer for you, and that there'll be others as well here that will be able to answer those questions. So let's start off with some check-ins just to see who's here. Give me your call phonetically if you would, and not too quickly.
This is November 0, November Yankee, Bart in Evans, with November 0, Quebec, X-Ray Quebec, Gene. And good evening to Net Control. You have a vaguely familiar voice there. Do I know you?
Good evening, Kevin. Whiskey 0, Delta Delta Zulu, W0DDZ, Dave here. I've got your email here. I haven't had a chance to respond to it, but I will soon. Good to hear you, Kevin. W0DDZ.
This is Kilo Echo 0, Lima Charlie Kilo, KE0LCK, the other Mike from Windsor.
This is K1DG, a new general, saying hello to you, Kevin, and wanted to let you know that because I haven't been able to tell you. K1DEG, monitoring.
Right. Take what we got here. There was a huge double at the end, but K1DEG won that one, and congratulations. I am really, really glad for you. KE0LCK, W0DDZ, and yes, N0QXQ, and yes, N0NYY. I believe we have met. Good to hear, everybody. Who else is out here today?
This is Kilo 0, Papa Romeo Bravo, Phil in Loveland, with Kilo 0, Lima Alpha Oscar, Luann.
Kilo 7, India, Romeo Charlie, Bill in Highlands Ranch, K7 IRC.
Kilo Whiskey 5, United Sierra America. Jason, West Greeley, Mobile.
And 0EMP, Greg Fort Collins with Debbie K0DBE with a comment.
Okay. Let's recognize K0DBE, N0EMP, K5USA. Jason, good to hear you. I haven't heard you in a long time. K7IRC, K0LAO, K0PRB. Welcome to everybody. Anybody else this evening?
This is Alpha Echo Zero, Charlie Foxtrot, Ben, Fort Collins.
Okay, AE0CF. Welcome, Ben. Thank you. Anybody else before we jump into comments and things?
Kilo Delta Zero Whiskey Bravo Charlie, Pete, Fort Collins. This is Whiskey Zero Alpha Sierra Pop W0 ASP Terry in Berthoud. Traffic.
Whiskey 2 Mike India Charlie Mark in Loveland. No squirrels, no traffic.
Whiskey 0 Delta Alpha Sierra Dave in Fort Collins.
Okay. We'll recognize W0DAS, W2MIC, W0ASP with traffic, KD0WBC. Welcome, everybody. Thank you. It's good to hear everybody. Okay, let's see. Let's get to comments and things like that here. Excuse me. N0EMP. We'll start with you. What you got for us?
Thank you, Kevin. I thought this might be more appropriate for the TechNet. A lot of us that make antennas and other things out of aluminum, the choice material for fasteners for aluminum is stainless steel because of corrosion and chemical reactions and things like that. Stainless steel nuts and bolts and stuff are generally more expensive. Recently, for a project I was doing, I had to buy 50 quarter-inch bolts, 50 washers, 50 lock washers, and 50 nuts, quarter-inch nuts, all in stainless steel. James, KI0KN, tipped me off to a company here in Fort Collins that I have no financial relationship with, other than I paid them some money for fasteners. This is CD Fasteners, Charlie Delta Fasteners, 512 North Link Lane here in Fort Collins, up near the new home of Mountain State Electronics and Collins Communications. Again, 50 quarter-inch bolts, 3/4 inch long, 50 lock washers, 50 washers, 50 nuts. Grand total with tax, $10.56. I'm going to drop this a second. So my jaw dropped at that price. It was fantastic. Rough estimate, I went to the Home Depot website today, and without tax, it was going to be about $50 plus tax for the same materials. So anybody looking for stainless steel fasteners in the area might want to give them a look. N0EMP.
Okay. Thank you. And really, really good to know. Yeah, CD Fasteners sounds like a fun place to go anyway, just to look as well. So I've heard about that before. Okay, let me see. We had one other at least. That was yours. Oh, W0ASP. What do you have, sir?
Kevin, sorry, I said no traffic. W0ASB back to net.
Oh, okay. I missed that. All righty. So there we go. Okay. So, do we have other comments or questions for the net tonight?
DDZ.
IRC.
Hey, we had a couple. Let's see. LCK, go ahead first, and then we'll come back.
It's a technical question for Gray. Did I hear some mention about movement towards getting the shelter up on the ranch for our new station up there?
The shelter is in place. We got it up there yesterday. The casualty list was, we thought maybe one transmission or transfer case in a Ford F-350, but it turned out just to be overheating. And one bottle jack was lost in the effort. It fought valiantly, but paid the ultimate price. And it was laid to rest on the mountain. Other than that, the shelter is in place and 0 EMP.
Okay. Wonderful news. Great to hear that. IRC, I believe you had a comment or question.
K7 IRC, Handlesville, Highlands Ranch. And I have a comment. I think it's a follow-up. I think I discussed this in a previous net. I was having trouble with an antenna analyzer which would not read anything. Actually, it would read something. It's a graphic display, and it when I hooked up the antenna and did a scan, it would always read full scale, which is 19.9 SWR. So that wasn't too fruitful. Somebody suggested, anyway, the discussion went toward break. Since I'm close to an AM radio station at 1430 kilohertz, that ended up swamping it out, and part of my testing was needed to be on a 160 meter antenna, and they're pretty close together. So the discussion revolved around putting a filter on the input to the antenna analyzer. It would block the broadcast band, but pass 160 meters break. I believe someone offered me a possibility of one, but I was able to locate a good sharp cutoff filter that had like, I don't remember what it was, 50, 60 dB of suppression at 1430 kilohertz, and yet past 1.8 megahertz on up. Good filter. Put that on there, and it works like a champ. It blocked the AM from swamping out the input to the antenna analyzer, so I get a good display now. That was gratifying to come up with a good solution. That's really all I had, just kind of a follow-up comment, and I'm pleased.
Well, that's certainly very good news, and glad to hear that you indeed got an answer and a solution there. That's terrific. All right. Any others, please, with comments or questions?
DDZ.
DDZ, go.
Hey, Kevin. I actually had a YouTube subscriber that had several questions from the topic last week on hot spots, and I'm wondering if we could get into some of these questions.
I sure don't see why not. Let's go ahead.
So The first couple of questions, I'm going to lay these because they're kind of related, is which hotspot is the best and which is the easiest to use?
Okay. One I cannot answer anything about. Anybody else have info on that?
NYY.
NYY, go.
The only one I have ever used is my company iPhone, and I do that with permission, and it is remarkably simple and easy to do and extremely reliable. However, that may not be the type of hotspot that you're talking about. I'm not sure since I missed last week. N0NYY back to net.
Yeah, Bart, we're talking about the little digital radio hotspots. I know of the Raspberry Pi hooked with the DV Mega can do some pretty cool stuff, but I haven't dug in deep enough to really give good replies to it. Hopefully somebody else has.
Formats such as DMR and D-Star and Fusion, and you could either talk through the internet or use a radio to go into the hotspot. So that's what we were talking about. So let me ask again, anybody have info on favorites or best or easiest?
USA?
USA.
Okay, before I get started, Kevin, can you confirm you guys still got a good signal on me since I'm mobile?
Well, your signal's good and strong, but your audio is almost in the mud. Can you get closer to the mic or something?
Okay, we'll give this a try one more time.
Still pretty weak, and it's better. It's hearable.
Okay, copy. Well, I want to make sure that everybody hears me, so I'll go ahead and back out, and perhaps we'll pick it up again next week. KW5 USA.
Okay, yeah, I don't know if you've got a mic connection problem or what's going on there, but your signal is solid in the repeater. It's just the audio is soft. So, if you have a chance to wiggle something, or if you've got a mic hole stuffed up or something like that, But do come back if you've got info on that, which I'm suspecting you do. Thank you. Anybody else have a comment on this? Okay. Dave, other questions from him?
Yes. Where can I buy one, and what is a expected price?
Okay, again, can't give any info. If you Google digital radio hotspot, I'm guessing that might come up with several. I know that there are several different ones, including the what was the one that we got a bit of a presentation on a few weeks ago? I can't say it. Anyway, I'm sorry. I don't think we're going to end up getting any info on this tonight, but hopefully at a later time we can cover a bit more of that there for you. Anybody, any comments on that?
ELK.
ELK, good evening.
Good evening. I just came in your call. This is KE0, Echo Lima Kilo, and I'll do a check-in while I'm at it. I talked to some of the other guys. I'm actually on DMR radio right now, but I'm on the regular channel. And they've told me that they go to DRO, or what's that, the digital radio outlet down in Denver. That apparently they carry them. I heard their costs are roughly $150, $180, so maybe they come down because it's gotten more popular. But
I have looked at this. I have not purchased this. I've just chatted with them over on the on that side of the fence, and they talk about it quite a bit.
Okay, now are you talking ham radio outlet or are you talking something else?
That's the right one, ham radio outlet. I said it wrong. Thank you.
That's okay. The column was KE0ELK, is that right? And what was the name there, sir?
You're correct on the call. This is Tom in Loveland.
Fox 0, Colorado boy. Mike in Fort Collins, just checking in.
Hey, Mike, good evening and welcome. Glad to have you in there, and how are you doing?
Well, it's got its up and downs, but they got me up there over the edge of the cliff. I don't know if they're going to push me over yet or not. We'll find out in a couple of days.
Well, let's hope if it's over a cliff, it's over a good one for, for home or something. Anyhow, good to hear you. Very good. Okay, well, that's as good as we can do on that particular question, and I am sorry that we don't have anything more specific, but, continued Google search and stuff like that might reveal something for you. So good luck in that, and if we hear more, of course, we'll relate it here. Just that none of us apparently that are on here have any experience with it. So there we go. Sorry, but appreciate you trying, asking the question, and glad you gave that a shot. Other questions for the open forum tonight, technical, on the NCARC TechNet. This is N7GES.
A1DEG.
DEG, good evening, Mike.
Good evening. This will make Joe a little happy. My curiosity is does anyone have opinions on logging programs? I know Ham Radio Deluxe is probably one of the preferred, but I'm just looking for different ideas and options.
Okay, first, you running PC or Mac?
That would be a good tidbit of information. Sorry. Windows.
Okay, very good. All right, I open it up. Who would like to comment? Logging programs, that's a good one. Cricket. This is not very promising. Is nobody out there using a logging program at this point in time on PC?
DDZ.
DDZ.
You know, I have just used the logging program on QRZ.com. It'll work on any platform, and it's fairly easy to use.
Righty.
Yeah, I'm playing with that one, but I was looking for something that would be more controlling of the 706. Ham Radio Deluxe seems that it wants to do it, at least it talks about doing it. I haven't been able to do that yet. I was just looking for different options and ideas, different opinions, basically.
Okay, any other comments or suggestions? We're batting 1,000 tonight. Sorry, can't help you on that one. I have used Mac programs and I've used iPhone programs. So since we're talking about it, not that it helps you, but just to provide the information, the one that I've used is Ether. which I can't tell you the writer or anything, but I've used that for Mac, and I like it. The developer was quite responsive when I wrote to him about some questions. I think it does some rig control. It communicates directly with EQSL and with ARRL. I can't think of the program that they have set up. I can't say it right now. But it does communicate directly with them as well. So there is one, and the other, PRB can talk about more, is Piglet and its associated software. You want to talk about that for a minute? Phil, my brain is moving very slowly this evening.
Yeah, Kevin. Name here is Phil, K0PRB. Yes, I've recently started using what they call the Piglet. It started as I can't remember. Anyway, Hamlog is the logging software that is used. I believe it's used on the PC and on iOS devices. And the Piglet is a device that runs on Wi-Fi. So you set it up, you hook it to your radio if compatible, and it will, when you run Hamlog, it will control your radio. It will read from your radio, tell you, okay, here's the frequency you're on, here's the mode you're in, etc. It'll start the clock, stop the clock. You don't have to enter the time. It's already there. You just say start or stop, and it logs it all. And you can put comments in there, etc. So it's kind of fun to use, and it can be networked. There is some software you can put on a PC, on a laptop, whatever, that works as a server. So you can have multiple Piglets that talk to the server. Reset. Okay, so what happens is you may have 3 or 4 operators. Say it's a field day. You have 3 or 4 operators that have a Piglet tied to their radio, and they're logging. Well, those are talking via Wi-Fi to the server. And the server can be just a local laptop computer somewhere. And so they're communicating through the Wi-Fi to this server, and as they log, it automatically logs into one area. And then all of that can be set up and sent in to ARRL for all the logging. But you can use it as an individual and keep track of the log that way. This is K0PRB.
And we'll just interject that I did use that on the iPhone for field day, and I really like it. For one thing, we were using a Yaesu F857, which I cannot see to run, but with the Piglet interface, I could see the frequency on the radio and the operating mode and everything else. And because it was reading the radio, it would, as Phil said, mark in the frequency and everything on the contacts. So I didn't use it so much for, well, I did use it some for control, because I sometimes did choose a frequency and a mode and stuff with it, but generally I just used it to read the radio while I was making the contacts, and that is slick. So that's one example, and as Phil said, it may be available for PC as well, but the interface, the Piglet, is just a way that it will communicate to your radio wirelessly, and it's pretty darn nifty. Any questions or comments on that?
Not really. It sounds like an interesting idea there. I'm just looking for, I hate to say it this way again, but the cheapest route around. Ham Radio Deluxe I found is got a version free. So another ham is in the process of, he's already downloaded it and put it on a flash drive, and it's on the way in the mail. So when it gets here, he's got a couple of different logging programs on it, so I'm going to check it out and make up my mind which one I want to use. The main objective is I want to be able to control the radio with the program. That's why I'm thinking I'm going to end up with Ham Radio Deluxe, but other options and opinions are welcome.
Okay, very good. Other comments or questions in this subject or this topic or others, please?
KD8HDO.
Is that Hotel Delta Oscar?
That is correct. This is KD8HDO mobile, and I was just wondering if this is your weekly net, if you're still taking a check-in?
Oh, absolutely. You can check in anytime, and you can also either ask questions or just listen, whichever. What's the name and what's the name there, sir?
Yeah, my name is Joe. I'm somebody who got a ham tech license about 11 years ago, and there was a while where I didn't use it, and now I'm kind of back.
Okay, excellent. Do you have a question or anything for the net at this time?
Yeah, I belong to a local off-roading club, and there was actually some discussion of doing our own ham licensing test for our members to try and get more people into ham. And I was curious if anybody knew what the requirements were to become one of the licensing or test examiners.
Okay. Of course, to be a tester, you need to be a VE, and there are two different testing programs, the ARRL and the Laurel. I need a bit more information from anybody else that could help supply that.
NYY.
NYY, go.
I am not super well versed in that, but to be a VE, there's some documentation you have to read, there's a test you have to take, and paperwork you have to fill out and send in. If you are a general class, you can become a VE, but you can only test people for their technician class license. If you are an extra class, you can test anyone for any class of license. As much as I know about it, I was hoping maybe MH would be on or one of those guys, but perhaps not. N0NYY back to net.
50 Colorado Board. You are correct on that. If you're an extra, you can test anyone. And I am certified for Laurel and the ARL, so yeah, I am one of them crazy guys that could give a test, but I just help out anymore because I can't see that well. So back over to you guys, KF0CB.
Okay. No, that's only a tad of info, but I'm also sure you could get on the ARRL site and find out a bit more. Does that give you a little bit of a place to start anyway?
Yes, it does. Thank you for the comments. This is something that really just came up to me today, so I'll be looking over it and see what I can do. Thank you.
NYY again.
NYY.
Joe, you also have to have, I believe, 3 VEs to have a legal test, but there's lots of them in the area, and the announcement requirements have dropped back to the point where guys can pretty much get together, get 3 VEs, and have a test session. So it's pretty easy to set up and do once you find out who the VEs are that are qualified to do that. And, of course, there's always the option to become one yourself. I recently acquired my extra class, and my primary reason for doing that was so that I could become a VE and test others, which I have not yet accomplished. N0NYY, back to net.
Okay. Well, ARRL will certainly have information about that. And if you Google Laurel, is it Laurel? Somebody can correct me on the spelling. You can probably find out about that program as well. It still requires the same VE requirements. The only difference, I think, is the way you submit the information, the test results. And there's some other little differences, but the requirements, at least, I think, are still the same. So that's a start for you anyway, and hope that at least gives you some room to look further. Any other comments on this so far? Okay. Other questions on other topics?
PRB with a logging software comment.
PRB, go.
Yes, I just wanted to put it out there. Anybody looking for logging software, go to eham.net. They have 107 links and topics on logging software. So there is all kinds of software out there. You just have to get out there, look for it, and do some reading. It's K0PRB.
Okay. Great resource there. Thank you. All right. Other comments or questions, please?
W0DAS.
DAS, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd be real interested to see what people discover with the logging. I'm also a Mac person, so I don't have a lot of experience with the PC side, but I know that N1MM is a biggie, and so that's November 1 Mike is the name of the software, and it's a freebie and is networkable, and a lot of people will like to use that. So just throwing that out there. It is fairly complicated. It's not as straightforward as you'd like it to be. I had a question with regard to a topic from a couple months ago with regard to coaxial cable. I have an antenna up. I have about 80 feet of cable that I need. I've got a 100-foot cable. And so I have to coil up a little bit of the excess coil, or the excess wire. Should that coil be closer to the antenna or closer to the transmitter? I've heard differing opinions on this. W0DAS.
That would depend on the antenna you are using there, Dave.
So if I have a simple dipole antenna, I have a balun on it, but I've got excess cable, should I try to have that coil closer to a dipole or closer to the transmitter?
You can do a little bit of both. You can coil some at the with a dipole, especially do a coffee can coil at the dipole. That'll help with noise reduction, and also do another coil at the shack, so you can take that 100 feet of cable make a couple different coils, and it'll help in both circumstances. But understand, the more cable you have, the more loss you'll have. It'll help with the SWR. It'll give you a false SWR because of the loading, or not loading. What am I saying? The impedance within the cable. But that's not always a bad thing. If you have everything in resonance, everything's good. As you well know, I'm talking to the library here, aren't I? K0PRB.
Well, W0DAS here. I'm not a library by any means. That's why I'm asking the question. I just and also I was curious. You said a coffee can, so is there a preferred radius if you have to coil it? And it's just because I don't want to cut off, good cable. I suppose I should cut it and get it crimped and get a new connector and all that stuff. But if you wanted to keep the integrity of the cable, how big should that coil be? Should it be only 6 inches in diameter like a coffee can, or a little bit bigger? So I was just curious. W0DAS.
K0PRB.
PRB, go ahead.
Sorry, Kevin, I kind of jumped in there earlier. I should have asked your permission. Apologize for that. W0DAS, yes, Dave. At the antenna, at the feed point of the antenna, I would say probably a 12-inch coil, maybe 4 to 6 wraps on the coil, and then make it a little bit tighter at the input to your shack, just to cut back on some noise and whatnot. But that should do it. So I hope that helps.
Sounds good to me, and I'll give it a try. And like I said, I probably got enough that I could do a 4 to 6 wrap of a 12-inch coil, and then maybe a little tighter outside the house. But thanks, Phil, for the information. And back to you, Kevin, W0DAS.
Okay, this is 7GES, and this is the NCARC TechNet. Other questions or comments? Other topics or this one? Okay. We'll remind you again that if you want to get in touch with us, email elmers@ncarc.net. That is Echo Mike, Echo Lima, Mike, Echo Romeo Sierra at Northern Colorado Amateur Radio Club.net. You can ask questions about the net, make comments about the net, or ask questions you want posted on the net if you want a topic suggestion made or something like that. So please feel free to use that resource. I'll pause once more for any additional comments or questions. Okay. Apologies for not having a topic prepared for next week. I'll probably work on that this evening and get that uploaded to the server, to the NCARC webpage. It's just been a little crazy lately, and it will probably continue to be crazy for a while around here. So bear with me, if you would, please. But we'll have a topic out shortly, and hopefully it'll be a very interesting one, and should at least be able to announce it on the Wednesday ClubNet, if nothing else. So again, thank you to everybody for participating. Please encourage your radio friends to come and ask questions. I'm kind of thinking about maybe doing an open forum maybe once a month, so that we have room for people to ask more questions. We usually do a bit of an open forum at the end of a topic evening, unless things are so busy. But it might still be good to make room for those. So if you want to make comments about that, please do. I'm not on the air so much right now, so an email might be better to Elmer's with subject TechNet and other info, and we'll take that into consideration. So again, thank you very much, and good evening. This is N7GES closing the net at this time and returning the repeater to normal use. 73, y'all.
This presentation was brought to you by the Northern Colorado Amateur Radio Club. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.